So we're now going to work towards creating an isometric projection, and we're going to keep it simple and just do a cube. So just so you know what we're working towards, I have here just a model of a cube in SolidWorks, and it is currently in the isometric view. So this is what we're going to be attempting to draw with the remainder of this video. So we start with our orthogonal drawing of a cube. So we have the top, then we have the front. Now we start, instead of taking another 90 degree angle view off to the right here, we will take one at 45 degrees along this line here. So this is what we will call, so this angle here is 45 degrees, and this is a 45 degree auxiliary projection, or auxiliary view. So from here we'll draw some lines. So that's that. So we're looking from here instead of from over here with a 90 degree one. So look from here, and what we'll see is something that looks like this. So that's our first step. So we're now going to take another view of our cube. So if we draw another rotation line like we did for our 45 degree one, we will obtain a different view, which is another actually 45 degree view based around this point here. So if we just draw some projection lines, now if we start by picking up this point that I've drawn here and putting it here, that's sort of the closest point to us. It's sort of pointing towards us in the drawing. And then if we take this bottom one here and we can draw that straight down from it along this bottom projection line and place that here, we can then take this corner here and take that and follow our projection line, place that about there. We know it's a cube, so we can space our points equally. And then on the other side of that point we've just taken, it's another hidden corner, which you can't see from this view, but because of our other two orthogonal views from earlier, we do know it's there, so we can take that and place that there. Now we know it's all straight edges connecting this, so we just go in and fill this square in. So that's sort of looking at the bottom of our cube. Now if we take this line here and draw straight up like that, and then we know that we've got this line here, we can see that, and that's coming off this point here, so we can draw that straight up. And then there's the hidden similar edge on the other side, which we draw up like that. Now we just connect it to finish our projection, and that's it. That's our isometric projection of our cube. Now, for the difference between an isometric projection and an isometric drawing, we will now cover that. So, if we have a look back to our top view, we will see that this length here, L, is the same as this length here, L. However, when we project across this 45-degree line, we actually end up, if we went to measure it, that is less than L. And so when we then project over here, it turns out this length here is in fact about 0.82 of L. So to have this to be a true isometric projection, we would have to label every edge as its percentage of L, so we know all the lengths. But as engineers, it is nice to just look at a drawing and just measure the distance, but we can't in fact do that on this projection. So that is when isometric drawings come into play. So the solution to our isometric projection dilemma, we don't want to have to draw out all those and measure all those little lengths, is to do an isometric drawing. So if we take our orthogonal drawing from earlier and we have this length L, we can project it straight over to what we have is the isometric grid here in the center of the page. And this grid is something I just got off the internet, where it's a grid where we have all these triangles which are equilateral, and it's a 60-degree angle in there. So if we choose a scale and say that this length here is L, we can then just draw our cube straight onto the grid. It's got the parallel lines, which makes drawing these shapes very easy. And there you have it. There is our isometric drawing of a cube. So just here I have a few examples that I've just drawn up of some isometric shapes, which after the next video you should hopefully be able to draw. So that concludes our introduction and bit of theory on isometric drawing. The next video will look at some of the techniques used in isometric drawing.